Shalom, Israel, grace and blessings from God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, be unto you. All praises to the Most High, that we made it another week. Not quite to the Sabbath day, but we did make it another month to the new moon. We are currently still in that, technically, because the moon was last night, evening and morning were the day, right? So, all praises to the Most High that we made it another month and to another week. Lord's will, by the end of this lesson, it will be the Sabbath again. Please forgive me for my slight tardiness the first time I tried to jump on. It wouldn't let me for whatever reason. You know, internet issues, connection issues, all that kind of stuff. Maybe. But I never say this, and I should start saying it as far as get your comments in, as far as if you got any questions, leave them in the comments, all that kind of good stuff. Share. I hate saying all that kind of stuff, but that's what algorithms like. So let me just check and make sure we are live. We're pretty be live on this end. So I'm going to go ahead and check, make sure we're live on the viewers end as well. Let me see. If we're good on YouTube, then we should be good on Facebook as well. Let me check that. Let's see. If we're good on YouTube, then we should be good on Facebook. Okay, yeah, we got a good connection going. All praise to the Most High for that. Let's see about Facebook still. How we doing on Facebook? Let me see. Okay. Let me see. If we're good on YouTube, we're good on Facebook as well. All praises to the Most High. All right, let me go ahead and cut this on silent. All right. So with that, the main news story this week has been all the Epstein situation, as far as all the cover-up that's going on and whatnot. I'm not going to be talking about that tonight. I'm going to save that for Gad. Whenever he does his lesson, he'll do more of a deep dive than I could. He's better at things like that than I am. So instead, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the basically the reason they're covering it up is because it's all that Epstein stuff is a Mossad CIA operation as far as blackmailing powerful people and implicating pretty much everyone, right? And that's how the U.S. intelligence agencies operate. But they're doing that to preserve the state of Israel, right? And so we're going to be we're going to be getting into the updates of what they've been doing they've been doing over there, because they haven't stopped all the evil that they're doing over there. Like, people don't talk about it all the time, but it's still going on. Like, they haven't stopped any of that. So that's really what we'll be getting into. Let me go ahead and pull this down so that y'all can see. Just giving updates on that. What the scripture's called, and we'll get the scripture later. The controversy of Zion. That's what it's all about. The controversy of Zion. And we can start off with that, actually, before we even get into anything. We'll start off with that one. That's in Isaiah 34. We might come back here later, but Isaiah 34 and verse 8. We'll come back for the context, perhaps. Isaiah 34 and verse 8. It says, "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." Right? So the day of the Lord, the judgment that's coming to the earth, is all about the controversy of Zion. Right? So let's start with this one right here. This is from like a couple days ago, I think. And it's saying that Israel is turning Gaza into, quote unquote, a graveyard of children and starving. All right, that's from the United Nations. I think that's Relief Chief. Since May, some 800 Palestinians have been killed at aid sites, most run by controversial U.S. and Israel-backed GHF. The UN says, right? So the UN is trying to tell people, hey, look, this is a bunch of wickedness going on over here. There's a bunch of evil going on. But nobody seems to be listening, at least not America. And the entire rest of the world is actually listening. It's just that America and Israel aren't listening. And yeah, it says the bodies of 2 children lie on the hospital floor of a Project Hope run medical clinic in Deir al-Bassa, or excuse me, al-Bala, in the Gaza Strip after an Israeli strike on Thursday. And of course that's gruesome. That's gruesome. They're not showing the faces, and that's good that they're not showing the faces, but even showing parts of the body is still gruesome. Israel is engineering a cruel and Machiavellian scheme to kill in Gaza. The head of the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees says, as the world body reports that since May, some 800 Palestinians have been killed while seeking aid. Right? So the people can't even get any food, water, any kind of relief, no kind of medical relief. Under our watch, Gaza has become the graveyard of children and starving people. All right? The United Nations Relief Chief, Philippe Lazzarini, said in a post on X on Friday. People in Gaza have no way out, he said. Their choice is between 2 deaths, starvation or being shot at. Lazzarini was reacting to the Israeli military's killing of 15 people, including 9 children and 4 women. Right, so 13 of the people were women and children. So that shows you that they don't care about like fighting the terrorist, or if that's the lie that you believe. They don't care about taking out Hamas. Like, that's not what they're doing. They don't care about that at all. Right? They're killing. In this situation, 13 out of 15. That's like it's over 80% of the people they killed in that instance was women and children. That's crazy. That is crazy. As they waited in line for nutritional supplements in the city of Deir el-Balah in central Gaza on Thursday. Inaction and silence are complicities. Under our watch, Gaza has become the graveyard of children and starving people. No way out. Their choice is between 2 deaths, starvation, or being shot at. The most cruel and Machiavellian scheme to kill in total impunity. Our norms and values. Right? So I'm not necessarily going to look more into that post necessarily. But it goes on to say, this is Catherine Russell, the UNICEF executive director, said, we are appalled by the reported killing of 15 Palestinians, including 9 children and 4 women who were waiting in line for nutritional supplies for children in Deir al-Balah, the Gaza Strip, this morning. An additional 30 people were reportedly injured, including 19 children. When it said this morning, I believe this was a couple days ago. No, this was today. Yeah, that was posted today. All right. So his comments came on another bloody day in the Strip, right? So that would be the Philippe, however you say his name. His comments came on another bloody day in the Strip with medical sources reporting that 45 people had been killed, 11 of them near a GHF-run aid center in Rafah. The controversial U.S. and Israel-backed GHF has effectively sidelined Gaza's vast UN-led aid delivery network since it opened operations in May after Israel eased a more than 2-month total blockade on the Strip. Right, so the state of Israel started letting people in, I guess, to tease the people there because they're not letting them get the aid. Right, they're killing them before they can get the aid. Well, I guess it's bait. They're using the aid that's coming in as bait because they know the people are going to come to it, and they just kill them whenever they come to it. Apparently. Since then, 819 Palestinians have been killed while waiting for food. The spokesperson for UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Friday, he said 634 were killed in the vicinity of GHF sites, of which there are 4 for the entire enclave. And 185 were killed close to other humanitarian aid convoys, including some run by the UN. Right, so the UN's like, hey, we're trying to help people down there, and they are just killing the people we're trying to help. Earlier in the day, Ravina Shamdasani, spokesperson for the UN Human Rights Office, said between May and July the 7th, the UN had recorded 798 killings near aid points in Gaza. So that's an insane number. From set between May, right? So we'll say like all the month of May is what, like 30 days, 31 days. All of June is 30 days, right? So that's 61 days. And July the 7th, that's 7. Okay, so let's say it was 70 days. Let's say even that. And that's like 800. We could even say it was 80 days. That'd still be 100. No, excuse me. That'd still be 10 a day, like 10 shootings a day, 10 killings a day. That'd be crazy. Like that's insane. And it's more than that because I kind of fudged the numbers there. Israeli soldiers and U.S. contractors working with JHF have admitted to shooting unarmed Palestinians gathering for food, according to separate recent reports by Israeli outlet Haaretz and the Associated Press news agency. So, they've admitted to doing this. They're just admitting it. They're just admitting it now. You know, they're not even trying to hide it. Yeah, this is crazy. Reporting from the UN in New York, Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo said that Carl Scow, Deputy Executive Director of the World Food Program, had given a briefing in which he reported the situation in Gaza was the worst that he has ever seen it. And it appears to be that way. If all these things are true, then yeah, it's the worst. Worst it's been over there. Scow, who had just returned from his 4th trip to Gaza, had said the WFP had enough food to feed the entire population of Gaza for 2 months, but the trucks were not being let in. Instead, Palestinians in Gaza have been forced to rely on the GHF, the people that's killing them. Right? And it's not the GHF specifically that's killing them, but that's the ones that, you know, are tied with America and Israel, right? So that's the ones that the state of Israel knows what they're doing and can control what they're doing, right? And obviously what that means that they can pull up and start killing people at any time, evidently. That's what they've been doing. A second Nakba is what they're calling it. The extent of the killing at the GHF sites emerged as Israel advanced its plans for what it calls a humanitarian city, likened by analysts to a concentration camp to be built on the ruins of the southern city of Rafah. And y'all know that I've been covering this since it popped off. And if you haven't been watching since then you can go back and watch the streams. I've been covering this since it popped off in October the 7th in 2023. And they originally took over the northern part of Gaza, right? And then went down, and it was a story for like a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month or two of them taking Rafah, right? It's like, oh, they're making their way to Rafah. Reports are they're making their way to Rafah, right? And then they ended up taking the city, and as it says here, now it's ruins. The ruins of the southern city of Rafah. They have just destroyed that city of Rafah. Like last year, about this time last year, maybe even a little bit before that, they haven't even made their way into Rafah yet, right? So they over this past year, they've just destroyed that city, turned it into ruins, and they want to build an Israeli city on top of it, right? Satellite images analyzed by Al Jazeera show large tracts of land in Rafah being cleared of buildings, seemingly in preparation for the forced transfer of Palestinians. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz had told journalists this week that the zone would eventually house Gaza's entire population of 2.1 million. British-Israeli analyst Daniel Levy, president of the U.S. Middle East Project, noted that the 3 GHF aid hubs located in the south were an integral part of a plan to bait Palestinians into moving towards Rafah. Okay, so yeah, they're admitting that it's bait. That's crazy. The positioning of these GHF distribution sites is a premeditated part of a plan of social demographic engineering to move Palestinians to relocate, displace, and kettle them into this area in the south, he told Al Jazeera. So, as I said, social demographic engineering. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty wild. Because if you think that they have this plan of premeditated plan of social demographic engineering and it goes successfully, what does that mean? What does that mean for the future? That they're just going to keep doing these, different social demographic engineering plans, primarily, eventually in the U.S. as well, because it's pretty much just the state of Israel and the U.S. working together in this. It's almost not anybody else. Maybe the Brits are still a part of it. Maybe they're kind of iffy on it as far as I can tell. They kind of agree on some of the things that the state of Israel is doing, and some of them, or rather, I should say, and some of the things they don't. But the U.S. obviously is gung-ho as far as the U.S. government is gung-ho with everything the state of Israel is doing, and I suppose vice versa, right? Bibi Milikowski falsely named himself Netanyahu. Bibi Milikowski loves Trump, and Trump loves Milikowski. They are in bed together. Maybe in more ways than one. If these Epstein files ever gets released, we'll see about that. But they're trying and experimenting things over there that maybe they'll do over here. They're pretty much doing the same similar type of things as far as social demographic engineering. That's why Trump's doing the deportation things, and he's trying to set up or I guess he's already set up his alligator Alcatraz, right? And that's part of it. So, this does not look good. Does not look good, to say the least. Rafah, he said, was being used as a staging post to ethnically cleanse Palestinians from the rest of Gaza. We are witnessing, it seems, a second Nakba, he said. The GHF, for its part, boasted on Friday that it was reinventing aid delivery. Our secure and innovative channels mean aid is placed directly into the hands of those who desperately need it, the group said on X. On the brink of death every day. As of Friday night, 45 people, including the 11 slain at the GHF site in Rafah, had been killed in the enclave since dawn, according to medical sources who spoke to Al Jazeera. So, is that what it is? Yeah, Israel kills 45 in Gaza. Yeah, so this, I had the live updates, but they stopped the live updates. And apparently they updated this other article as well. So, we just don't stick with this first article. And then move to the next one once we get done with this one. All right. Let's see. Among those killed, at least 8 people died after Israel bombed the Halima al-Sadaya school in Jabalia on Nazla, which was sheltering the displaced. The military struck at night as people slept. All right. So, They bombed a school. I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's just crazy reading these things. All right, bombing. They've been bombing hospitals. Like I said, I'm not surprised that they would do this, but it's just crazy to read. Like I haven't read these articles, if you can't tell. So I'm not surprised, but kind of horrified. As it says down here, it's beyond horrific, right? So like, I'm processing this as I'm reading it, and like bombing a school, like that's insane. All right, I don't want this to like get lost on you, because like in America we're so like separated from anything that happens over there in the Middle East, right? And we're so used to hearing about like bombings going on over there, mainly by the Americans, and with the state of Israel doing it, it's American taxpayers the same way, so you might as well say it's Americans doing it, right? Bombing schools. Oh man, the military struck at night as people slept, right? Sleeping women and children in schools, right? And of course there were men there as well. I don't necessarily want to say that there wasn't, but we see how earlier in the article it just talked about the proportion to women and children that they're getting rid of is actually more than the men that they're getting rid of. Witness Ahmed Kalla told Al Jazeera he found dead people lying on the floor of a classroom, coming upon scenes he described as beyond horrific, including a little girl without a head, literally without a head. That's insane. That's insane. At least one Palestinian was killed and others were wounded following an Israeli attack that targeted a house on Jaffa Street in the Tufa area, east of Gaza City. Sources at Ali Arab Hospital told Al Jazeera that the victim was a child. Again, they just don't care. They just don't care. Gaza's health ministry said in a statement that patients in the enclave's hospitals continue to be placed on the brink of death every day due to a lack of fuel. It said that as hospitals are forced to ration fuel, this leads to cutting off electricity in some departments and halting some services, including kidney dialysis treatments. Right. So if they don't care about bombing little girls in schools, then they certainly don't care about your kidney dialysis treatments. It also reduces the ability to operate a sufficient number of ambulances, forcing citizens to transport the injured and sick in animal-drawn carts. Man, like this, shoot. Like this dang, like 1000 BC, they got donkeys driving people to the hospital. Oh, man. Israeli restrictions on humanitarian aid access into Gaza are placing countless lives at risk. Stefan Dujarric, the spokesperson for the UN's Guterres, said, such denials are life-threatening. He said during a news conference, stressing that every day without a ceasefire brings more preventable deaths in Gaza, children dying in pain, and hungry people shot while trying to reach the trickle of aid allowed by Israel. So that's what's happening in Gaza right now. Let's see about in the West Bank. What's happening in the West Bank? Israeli settlers beat to death U.S. citizen in the West Bank, family says. Right? So they don't care. They don't care if you from the U.S. They don't care if you from Gaza or from the West Bank. If you get in their way, they're going to kill you. All right? Advocates call on the Trump administration to ensure accountability for the killing of Saifullah Musallat. And when I originally read this article, as far as like the title to this article, I said, okay, this looks pretty interesting. Let me click on it. Because I had read it wrong, I thought it said Israeli settlers beat to death. All right? U.S. citizen in West Bank, right? So I thought it was some U.S. Jewish people who were coming over there to be Israeli settlers, and they were beat to death by the Palestinians, right? That's what I thought. I said, oh, okay, there's violence on both sides. But then I actually get into the article, and it's like, no, they're just killing U.S. citizens over there now. Israeli settlers have beaten to death a U.S. citizen in the occupied West Bank, the victim's family members and rights groups have said, right? So like I said, they don't care. They don't care. The IDF, or this ain't even the IDF. These are individual Israelis. So this ain't even have nothing to do with the government of Israel. These are Jewish people, right? I say it like that. You know why I say it like that, because they're not the Jews, they're Jewish, right? They are somewhat like a Jew, but they are not the actual Jews. They are the synagogue of Satan, as Christ said, and we'll get that later. So this ain't even like, you can't blame this on the state of Israel. This is just what the people over there are doing, right? Settlers attacked and killed Saifullah Musallat, who was in his early 20s, in the town of Sinjil, north of Ramallah, on Friday, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. Musallat, also known as Saif al-Din Musallat, had traveled from his home in Florida to visit family in Palestine. Right, so this dude's from Florida. He's not even from there. His family's from there, but he's as I said, a U.S. citizen. His cousin Fatima Muhammad said in a social media post, another Palestinian identified by the health ministry as Mohammed Shalabi was fatally shot by settlers during the attack. Right, so they're trying to take out Palestinians, and they killed a U.S. citizen by mistake or intentionally. I don't know. Rights advocates have documented repeated instances where Israeli settlers in the West Bank ransacked Palestinian neighborhoods and towns, burning homes and vehicles in attacks, sometimes described as pogroms. Right, and as you see here, Al Jazeera, and obviously Al Jazeera is biased. They're going to be biased towards any Muslims because it's like Muslim ran. I don't know specifically who runs it, but obviously it's going to have its biases there. But I mean, the facts are the facts, right? So that's why I'm reading this for the facts, not necessarily for the biases. But still, you can see how in the last article they did this as well, and they're because he said. Like what they're trying to do in Rafah is comparable to a concentration camp, and what they're doing in the West Bank is similar to a pogrom, right? So these are terms that Jewish people are familiar with, right? When Jewish people say they get persecuted, oh, it's a pogrom, it's they put us in concentration camps. That's what they say, right? So that's why Al Jazeera is using that type of verbiage. The Israeli military often protects the settlers during their rampages and has shot Palestinians who show any resistance. You see it right there. So the IDF is with them, is with the settlers, right? Gives them a little extra juice, but it's the settlers themselves doing it as well. The UN and other prominent human rights organizations consider the Israeli settlements in the West Bank violations of international law. It's a bunch of criminals, a bunch of war criminals over there, all right? And Bibi Milikowski being the worst one, all right, as part of a broader strategy to displace Palestinians, and that's obviously what's going on. Less displace, more usurp and exterminate, perhaps. That seems what they're doing, especially in Gaza. While some Western countries like France and Australia have imposed sanctions on violent settlers, attacks have increased since the outbreak of Israel's war in Gaza in October 2023. So how are you going to say Australia is a Western country? I know that's a tangent, but like, how are you going to say it's a Western country? I mean, that's about as east as you can go. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Because everybody, and it's not just Al Jazeera, but everybody uses the term the West or Western to mean white people, to mean Edomites. That's what they mean by Western countries. They mean Edomite countries like France and Australia. Anyway, when Donald Trump took office earlier this year, his administration revoked sanctions on settlers imposed by his predecessor, Joe Biden. Right? So Trump said, "No, y'all can do what y'all want to over there." Trump, he's staying true to who he is as the devil, and he's saying, "Hey, look, y'all work as much wickedness as you want to over there. That's why we put you over there." Israeli forces have killed at least 9 U.S. citizens since 2022. Including veteran Al Jazeera reporter, excuse me. I was about to say, like, including a veteran, but no, Shireen Abu Akleh, right? So they, like, if you're over there in the West Bank, you better look out because the IDF coming for you. It doesn't really matter, like, where you come from. But none of the incidents have resulted in criminal charges. The U.S. provides billions of dollars to Israel every year. That's just a fact. Advocates have accused successive U.S. administrations of failing to protect American citizens from Israeli violence in the Middle East. And they obviously they don't. Again, they don't care either. The U.S. don't care. The state of Israel don't care. They don't care about people. Just in general, they don't care about people. They don't care about their own people. They just have agendas, right? Moving off perpetual hatred, as Esau does, as Edom does. On Friday, the Council on American Islamic Relations called on Washington to ensure accountability for the killing of Musalet. So I've honestly never heard of this group before in my life. The Council on American Islamic Relations. Never heard of that group before in my life. Maybe it's a group they try to suppress, but maybe it's just not a very well-known group. Every other murder of an American citizen has gone unpunished by the American government, which is why the Israeli government keeps wantonly killing American Palestinians and, of course, other Palestinians. Right? So I bet that if somebody who was a Latino went over there, and was walking around, they'd probably kill them too, just by mistake, thinking that they was Palestinian. It's not like they're. I mean, yes, they're specifically targeting Palestinians, but not because they're Palestinian. It's because they're in the way. You know what I mean? Like they're just trying to steal the land, and they're just so happen to be the ones that's there, right? And if we're being real, a lot of the Palestinians descend from Ishmael. Sure, there's a remnant of Israel in there. There's a remnant of Israel everywhere, but the Palestinians, in large, descend from Ishmael, who took the land hundreds of years ago, right? So, this is that, and we see the seeds being sown for this World War III, and that's truly what this is. Obviously, the Iranians, they don't like this, right? Because the Ishmaelites in Iran have beef with the state of Israel, and they care about their people over there, right? So they don't like this. Russia don't like this. China don't like this. All the BRICS don't really like this. So that we see these lines being drawn. Really, the only ones, like I said, the only ones who are supporting this still is the state of Israel. Obviously, they're the ones doing it. The U.S. and Britain is kind of iffy. They're turning on this as well. Not fully, but they're close. He pointed, or excuse me. So that was Edward Ahmed Mitchell said in a statement. He then pointed out that Trump has repeatedly promised to prioritize American interests as typified by his campaign slogan, America First. And see, that's the thing about Trump that everybody is really doing with him. Like they're using his own logic against him, and he hates that. He hates that because he does not like to be held accountable, right? So he'll just say things. Like he'll just spout off at the mouth. And when people say, "Hey, you remember you said this? You remember you said you was gonna do this? Well, how about this right here?" And he just like calls him an idiot and just like calls him like every name in the book and just like with his pride and his ego and his hatred on full display. But that's what Edward Ahmed Mitchell is saying. Like, hey, you said America first, right? So why not put these American citizens first over the state of Israel, right? But obviously that's not what Trump meant when he said America first. When he said America first, he meant Edomites first. Edomites in America first. If President Trump will not even put America first when Israel murders American citizens, then this is truly an Israel first administration, Mitchell said. And he's exactly right about that. He's exactly right about that. Because again, going back to this whole America first, mentality, Trump has literally put in place laws where now he can deport American citizens. So like he doesn't care about America first, not in that context. He cares about keeping America good for him and his Edomite buddies, his wealthy Edomite buddies, right? That's what he cares about. The let's see. The Institute for Middle East Understanding also called for action from the U.S. administration, noting that settlers are lynching Palestinians more frequently with full support from Israel's army and government. The U.S. government has a legal and moral obligation to stop Israel's racist violence against Palestinians. Instead, it's still backing and funding it. Straight up, they are still backing it and funding it. The group said in a statement. The U.S. Department of State did not respond to Al Jazeera's request for comment about the killing of Musalet. Right? They said, like, we ain't worried about that. The Palestinian group Hamas condemned the murder of Musalet. Yeah, obviously they're a Palestinian group, describing it as barbaric, and called on Palestinians across the West Bank to rise up to confront the settlers and their terrorist attacks. Right? So this is really what Bibi wants. What Bibi Milikowski wants. He wants to be the aggressor against these Palestinians so that they will join Hamas, right? Then that'll give him more reason and excuse to go after these ordinary people, right? Because terrorist cells and terrorist groups are never created in a vacuum. Nobody just wakes up one day and says, I want to be a terrorist, all right? They, the terrorists, quote unquote, don't view themselves as terrorists. They view themselves as freedom fighters in almost every case, all right? Nobody just wakes up and says, I want to do some terroristic activities today, right? Me and my buddies are going to do some terroristic activities today. That's never the case, all right? But when it comes to the state of Israel, they have these military plans and these military actions, and you see what that turns into. All the stuff, all the evil that they've done throughout the years to the Palestinians is what made Hamas want to do October 7th. And since then, Bibi said, oh, I finally got you. I finally got you. Now we're moving. Oh, y'all see what happened? Now we're moving. We're going to ramp it up. Oh, man. Israel said it was investigating what happened in Sinjil, claiming that the violence started when Palestinians threw rocks at an Israeli vehicle. Okay. Even so, let's say that that's true, right? That the state of Israel was just sitting there minding its own business. The Israeli settlers were just sitting there minding their own business. And then somebody was throwing rocks, right? Or you had multiple people throwing rocks at a car. How does that mean start killing people? Like, you see, like, the foolishness that they try to paint. How does that mean start killing a U.S. citizen? Like, you would think, like, with the Israeli government and military being there, they would have the ability to arrest a person, right? Throw them in jail for the vandalism, right? Because throwing rocks at cars, that's a vandalism. Right, that's a vandalistic act, right? So arrest that person, right? Or people, arrest them for doing those things. Not go through and murder people. Like I want y'all to truly see what this is, even from the state of Israel's side on this. All right, this is their mentality. You throw rocks at us, so we're gonna kill you. Like that's what they think. Like you throw rocks at our car, so we're gonna kill you. That's how they think. This is insane. Shortly thereafter, violent clashes developed in the area between Palestinians and Israeli civilians, which included the destruction of Palestinian property, arson, physical confrontations, and stone throwing, the Israeli military said in a statement. So shortly after, the Palestinians threw rocks. Then violent clashes broke out, and more stone throwing. Israeli investigations often lead to no charges or meaningful accountability for the abuses of Israeli officers and settlers. Obviously not, because they said we investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing. Right? That's what the Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and them said. They said, look, we investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing. As settler and military violence intensifies in the West Bank, Israel has killed at least 57,762 Palestinians in Gaza in a campaign that rights groups have described as a genocide. Right. So I did not realize that it had gotten up over 50,000, which I figured it had, but I just hadn't seen the number in a while. So 57,762 apparently is how many people have died in Gaza. But yeah, there's really, if they do what they want to do in Gaza, they're going to do it with the West Bank as well. They're just going to keep going. They're just going to keep going with it. So, we talked about what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in the West Bank. Let's talk about what's going on in the U.S. Canary Mission, how U.S. uses a hate group to target Palestine advocates. The Trump administration confirms it is relying on the shadowy website to identify student protesters for deportation. All right, so they don't like you protesting or speaking against the state of Israel. They're going to come get you. D.C., the U.S. government has acknowledged its use of Canary Mission, a shadowy pro-Israel website, to identify pro-Palestine students for deportation, sparking anger and concern by rights advocates. Right? So the U.S. itself, the U.S. government itself said, yeah, we do that. Yeah, we've done that. Activists have long suspected that the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump is gathering information from the Canary Mission website to target students and professors. All right? But on Wednesday, that suspicion was confirmed when a DHS official testified in a court case challenging Trump's efforts to deport pro-Palestinian student protesters. Peter Hatch, an agent with ICE, said the department had assembled a specialized group dubbed a Tiger Team to work on removing pro-Palestine college students from the country. So there's a specific Tiger Team, quote unquote, in ICE that's specifically targeting pro-Palestine college students. He indicated to the court that some tips about students were communicated verbally, before explaining that the team had also combed through nearly 5,000 profiles Canary Mission had compiled of Israel's critics. Right? So they got this website, Canary Mission, where if you're a prominent protester, they're going to try to identify you. All right? And they'll put you up on a website. The ICE specifically, I guess, it will use that to come and get you. It might be how they found Mahmoud Khalil. You mean someone said, here is a list that the Canary Mission has put together? Judge William Young asked Hatch, according to court transcripts. The official answer was simple, yes. Heba Gawayed? Sorry if I mispronounced that. A sociology professor at the City University of New York said the government's reliance on an online blacklist that posts personal information to harm and intimidate activists is absurd and fascist. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's absurd, because it's not really unexpected that they are targeting specific people. Canary Mission is a doxing website that specifically targets people for language that they deem to be pro-Palestinian, and therefore they decided is anti-Semitic. Its sole purpose is to target and harass people, Gawayed told Al Jazeera. How do you use a hate group to identify people for whether or not they have the right to be present in the country? All right. Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense when you consider a country that's founded on hate. Right? They hated the quote-unquote Indians, called them savages in the Constitution. Hated the so-called black people, called them 3/5 of a man in the Constitution. Right? It's a country established on hate. Why would they not still be using that hate? I mean, it makes perfect sense. All right? So, how much more is this article? Yeah, we're not going to read this whole article because we're already getting into it. But it's something worth looking into. They're using that website to crack down on pro-Palestine, and less pro-Palestine, more anti the state of Israel people. All right. So I'm gonna read this in Isaiah 34. Since we started with it, I'm gonna go ahead and get some more context here. In Isaiah 34, come near, ye nations, to hear. This is verse 1. And hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to the slaughter. You see that right there. So it's not just the state of Israel and the U.S. Army that's going to get it. It's all the armies of the earth going to be pulled down there to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, World War III. We've talked about this before. All right? It's all part of his plan. And you can see how it's written here in the past tense. Right? He hath utterly destroyed them, because when God says something, even if it hasn't happened yet, it's already set in stone. All right? Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses. and the mountain shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. All right, so that'd be that mushroom cloud. It rolls up as it goes, all right, like a scroll. And all their host shall fall down, meaning them satellites that they got up, all that space junk, it's all coming down, all right? As the leaf falleth from off the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. As figs fall off of the fig tree, the same way all them satellites coming down from orbit, all right? For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. All right, so Idumea is the people who took that land over there. All right, Edom, right? Them people are not the Israelites. They say that they're the Israelites from Europe, but when you read history, you know that most of the Israelites that were in Europe were expelled through the Inquisitions and left. Some willingly, some unwillingly, all right? And then they left to parts of Africa and America, all right? Most of the Jews that were in Europe were not there anymore, all right? Because the Inquisitions happened all throughout the, what they call the Renaissance, all right? And the Enlightenment, all that was Inquisition time, all right? Not saying that there are no Israelites in Europe. Yeah, there are, but it's not those people, all right? It's not those quote-unquote Ashkenazim, all right? That's not them, all right? That's Edom. That's Idumea, all right? First, I'm going to get Revelation 2 and 9, just to show that, just to prove that real quick, that Jesus Christ, and see, this is the main reason why they reject Jesus Christ over there. And first of all, you so-called Christians supporting the state of Israel when they deny your Lord and Savior. Why would you do that? Why would you side with people who, you read the Talmud. Read the Talmud and see what it says about Jesus Christ. Read what they wrote about Jesus Christ and tell me why you support them. That's insane. You're insane. I'm telling you straight up, if you're a so-called Christian and you support the state of Israel who deny Christ, you are insane. That's a foolish notion. All right? Revelation 2 and 9. This is what Jesus Christ said about them, and this is why they reject him. In Revelation 2 and 9. It says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. So he's speaking to the church that's in Smyrna, I believe. Yes. He's speaking to the church that's in Smyrna, his real followers, the real Jews. He said, I know what you're going through, all your poverty that you're going through. You're really spiritually rich, though. The so-called Jewish people are not in poverty right now. So you know it's not talking about them. They're the bankers. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. So who's claiming to be the Jews today? The people that's in the state of Israel. All right? They're claiming to be Jews. Christ said they are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. He said they're the devil. All right? They're lying. They're the devil. That's what he said about them. All right? Because the prophet Ezekiel, in Ezekiel 36, and we went over this last week in Gad's lesson, I believe. Maybe it was the week prior, but I believe it was last week we went over this. In Ezekiel 36, tying it back around, because Ezekiel says specifically who they are. Christ said they're not Jews. Ezekiel said specifically who they are. All right. In Ezekiel 36 and I'll start with verse 4. It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, meaning the land, hear the word of the Lord God. Thus said the Lord God to the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. A prey as in these other nations are predatory upon the land. They took it, right? They took it over, all right? Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea. All right, there's that word again from what Isaiah said, Idumea. Idumea, let me show y'all real quick as far as Idumea. Who Idumea is. Now this is the Zondervan. This is the, let me show y'all what this is real quick. The Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. I will recommend this Bible dictionary. It's the best that I've seen. The best that I've read. Smith's is pretty good, but Zondervan has it beat by a mile, if you ask me. So let's talk about Idumean. All right, what is Idumean? This is Idumean in the or Idumea, I should say, in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. It says Idumea, pertaining to Edom. So Idumea is Edom, the brother of Jacob. All right, Esau was named Edom after he ate that red pottage and rejected God and his birthright. All right, the one that God said he hated. That's Idumea. All right. It says, pertaining to Edom, Greek and Roman name for Edom. All right. It mentions Mark and Isaiah. All right. See Edom. Right. So that's what it means. It means Edom. Idumea is just a Greek and Roman name for Edom. All right. Esau. All right. The so-called Caucasians, all right, because they're not originally from the Caucasus Mountains, they're originally from Mount Seir, all right, Petra in in Jordan, all right. So in Ezekiel 36:5, it says, "Therefore, thus said the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey." Again, they preyed upon the land. They took the land. All right? They took the land. That's Idumea. That's the people who say they are Jews and are not. All right? Let's see. "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven." Right? So God's sword. When God's sword here, he ain't talking about like a literal blade. All right, he ain't talking about a literal blade, a literal sharp weapon. That's not what he's talking about. Let's get Isaiah 66. So when God's talking about his sword, let's get Isaiah 66, because this talks about the return of our Lord Jesus. All right, you get into Isaiah 66. Starting with verse 15, it says, "For behold, the Lord," meaning the Lord Jesus Christ, "will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebukes with flames of fire." All right? So when all that fire, all that nuclear fire starts popping off, right? Like I said in Isaiah 34 about the heavens rolled together as a scroll, when all that starts popping off, that's when Christ is going to show up, because that is Judgment Day. All right? That's why they made that Terminator 2 movie, Judgment Day, and they showed nukes in it. All right? "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind." Christ said the same thing when he said he's going to send his angels to gather his elect. He's going to come in the clouds of heaven. That when he said clouds there, he ain't talking about what brings rain. He's talking about them chariots. All right? Like a whirlwind. "To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh." All right, so God's sword brings fire. All right, and the slain of the Lord shall be many, meaning the people who die at God's hand. The slain of the Lord shall be many. All right, so when God says his sword, he's talking about fire and death. That's what he's talking about. His sword brings fire and death. All right. So he said, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven." So he's going to bring fire from the sky. What does that? Nuclear missiles. All right. That's what does that. That's what brings fire from the sky, nuclear missiles. All right? We had that technology today. Back then, when they wrote this, they didn't have the terminology to say nuclear missiles because they didn't have the technology. They just saw what happened, and they're trying to describe it the best they can. And they're doing a pretty damn good job, if I say it myself. The prophets did a great job in describing what this is going to be like. All right? In Isaiah 54, in verse 16, he said, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work." Right? So God said, look, I made the blacksmith, the ones who make the literal swords, the ones who make axes, the people who make those types of things. And, meaning also, and distinguishing from the first thing he said, look, I made the people who make weapons, but also, and I have created the waster to destroy. All right, when the Bible says waste, it talks about like wasting cities. All right, so when he said he made the waster, he said, I made a weapon that can destroy cities. All right, that's that nuclear weapon. And let's read in the book of Zechariah. The book of Zechariah, he talks about what happens when people get hit by this nuclear fire. All right, in Zechariah, I think it's 12. Talk about this. Could be Zechariah 14, but I think it's 12. Where is that? No, it's 14. Wait a minute. Yes. Yeah, Zechariah 14. Oh, excuse me. 14 and 12. Let's get this right here. It's been a minute since I've been here. Yeah, here we go. So Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Again, the daughter of Zion, the controversy of Zion. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. All right? So before you even hit the ground, your flesh is gone. All right? And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. All right, so what can do this? Well, before you even hit the ground, your flesh is gone, your eyes are gone, your tongue is gone. What can do this? Nuclear fire. All right, if you're in that blast radius, you're just poof, you're gone. You're gone. All right? Let's also go to Malachi. Let's see how he described it, the prophet Malachi. All right? Malachi 4 and verse 1. He said, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven." So he said a day that's going to burn. What can make your day burn like an oven, like you're in an oven? When the nukes drop and you're in that blast radius, you're not going to survive that. Just like if you put something in the oven and burn it, it doesn't survive that. All right? Behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. You see that right there? Going to be burnt up. All those who do wickedly going to be burnt up. All right? And the day that cometh shall burn them up. Right? So that day, judgment day, going to be burnt up. They're going to be burnt up. Saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Right? As in the parents, the kids, the descendants, like the ancestors, they all going to be burnt up. All right? All right. So Isaiah 34. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. That fire, that death is coming from the sky. All right? Again, the prophets saw it. They wrote about it. All right? Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. So God said, look, the main target is Idumea. That's the main target. That's the one the most wickedness right now. That's the main target. And upon the people of my curse to judgment, because judgment is coming to the earth. All right? So it's called Judgment Day. All right? Did it say day here? No, it didn't say day. Okay. It said day of the Lord in Isaiah 13. We might get that as well. That's talking about more about the fall of Babylon, and we're going to touch on that as well. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord had a sacrifice in Basra. Basra was the ancient capital of Edom, all right, or at least a prominent city, if not the ancient capital, all right. And a great slaughter in the land of Idumea, and it was actually a border city with Moab as well. Great slaughter in the land of Idumea, but that's the point, though. That's the point. All right, here we go. It says day right here. And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. You see that right there? So he said, look, the whole land's going to be destroyed. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. It's the day of the Lord. All right? And the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. That's what it's about. And when you read Joel 3, it said that, he's doing this for his people, whom they have scattered among the nations when they parted his land. All right? And that's what they did. All right? So I'll keep reading. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. And this is actually going into America, but I'm making the point Idumea took that land as well. Let's see. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. And that's going into America. That's going into Babylon. So we'll talk about that a little. Isaiah 13, I said I'd go here. So over there, there's going to be judgment over there, and it's going to be judgment over here. Over here is going to get it the worst. America's going to get it the worst because America's the one funding it, funding all the BS over there. All right, Isaiah 13, and again, they have scattered God's people among the nations, right? Among all people. This ain't for what they're doing to the Palestinians, even though that's horrific. They've done worse to God's people, all right? Palestinians are just getting it now, as far as in the past 100 years. Let's see. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see. This is Isaiah 13. I'm going to jump down. Howl ye, this is verse 6. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. All right, so that's the day of the Lord. It's a destruction, all right, from the Almighty. Jumping down to 9. Behold, the day, well, I might want to read 8. Yeah. Well, I'll start with, I'll just keep reading. Therefore shall all hands be faint. Everybody's going to be afraid. And every man's heart shall melt. All right? Every man's heart shall melt, both metaphorically, as in with fear, but also literally. You're going to melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Right? Everybody's going to be afraid. Everybody blushing. Right? Everybody's like when you get nervous and afraid, your blood starts pumping, right? That's your faces as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord, and also literally, behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. That's what's going to happen here in America. The land will be desolate. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it, right? So it's not just Idumea. He said, look, I'm killing my people too if they're sinners, right? All the wicked people. Let's see. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Right. So that's the smoke. What they call a nuclear winter, when all the earth is going to be covered with smoke. The smoke, the residue from all the bombs going. All right, it's going to block out. You're not going to be able to see the stars. You're not going to be able to see the sun, moon. Everything's going to be dark. All right. That is until the Lord refreshes the earth, all right? And he will do that. Let's see. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. That's what it's all about. It's called the day of judgment, all right? The wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible, all right? So all this is good. I don't know if I want to skip around or not. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and read through this. It says, the haughtiness of the terrible, lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Verse 12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, right? Those that make it through, the righteous, all right, they're going to be more precious than fine gold, all right? Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, right? Because when them bombs have that impact, it shakes everything, all right? Shakes the heavens, shakes the earth. In the wrath of the Lord of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger, all right? And it shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land, right? People are going to try to escape the judgment in America. All this like melting pot stuff, and you see it here in America, like the people will mix, but not really, all right? Everybody still pretty much lives in their own communities, all right? But everybody, guess what? They're going to try to escape, and guess where they're trying to escape to? Back where they're from, all right? All these Chinese people that are over here, guess where they're going? They're going back to China, or they're going to try to. All right, same with the Koreans, the Japanese, all the different Arab peoples. That's what they're going to do. All right. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through. You see right there? So everybody, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be all sorts of turmoil going on, all sorts of riots in the streets and whatnot. We're seeing a little bit of that now, but on the day of the Lord's judgment, all right, come the hour of temptation. All right, because it's all going to happen in a specific moment, but you're going to get that nuclear countdown. They're going to say, hey, they're going to send that alert like they did in Hawaii and a couple years ago. I forget when that was. That fake test in Hawaii, that nuclear test. When they sent that to everybody's phone, everybody's going to get the alert on the phone. Everybody's going to get the alert on whatever has a screen, your TVs, your computers. Everything that has like a screen is going to send you an alert saying, hey, this is not a test. You have so many nukes coming. You have an hour. It's going to say that, and all the screens are going to just display that for the next hour. Give you a countdown. All right, saying they're going to arrive in such and such time. All right, and then everybody's going to run around acting stupid, acting crazy, killing people, and taking things and doing whatever they want to. Right, because it's the hour of temptation, and all the foolish people of the world think, well, this is the end, so I'm going to live it up. Right, for the next hour. All right, so that's everyone running to their own people. Everyone's trying to leave. Everybody trying to do this, trying to do that. Everybody's finally going to be thrust through, right? Killed. Everyone that is joined to them shall fall by the sword. You see that right there. So if you're trying to do all that too, if you're trying to join with these other nations, right? If you're an Israelite and you're trying to run with these Edomites or with these Ishmaelites or with these dying Moabites or any of these other people that's over here, then you're going to be killed. You're going to die with them. All right? Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, right? So the children are going to be killed. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. All that's going to be going on at that time. All right? People's going to be going, they're going to be going crazy on that day of the Lord's judgment, that hour of temptation. They're going to be going crazy. All right? Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, right? The Medes lived in Iran. They lived in Iran. All right, against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. You see right there, they don't care about that stuff. All right, and in case you think this is talking about ancient Babylon, because he said the burden of Babylon, right? This ain't talking about Babylon the Great, just talking about ancient Babylon. Even though it said the day of the Lord, all right, the day of the Lord ain't happened back then. But let's say this is talking about ancient Babylon. All right. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, right? That'd be the sleeper cells waking up. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So how did ancient Babylon fall? Ancient Babylon fell when the Medes and the Persians and the Assyrians came up against them, right? Beat them in battle. Destroyed ancient Babylon, all that kind of stuff. God didn't send fire from heaven to destroy ancient Babylon like he did Sodom and Gomorrah. But guess what? Babylon the Great, that's what he's going to do. He's going to send fire from heaven. All right? He's going to use these nukes and bring down fire from the sky. All right? It shall never be inhabited. Is ancient Babylon inhabited today? Yes, it's called Iraq. It's called Kuwait. That's ancient Babylon. All right? That region, that's where Babylon is. It said it shall never be inhabited. So the real, or I should say, Babylon the Great that this is talking about, the daughter of Babylon, when you read Isaiah 47, all right, it shall never be inhabited. Nobody's going to live here ever again. After Judgment Day, nobody's going to live here in America ever again. They're not going to be able to. There's going to be radiation that just pollutes the land, turn it into a lake of fire. All right? Neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there. Right? So God is making it very clear. Very clear. He said, I know y'all think I'm talking about ancient Babylon. No, the Arabians went there. The Arabians ain't going to America after it's destroyed. He's telling you straight up, no, this ain't Iraq. This ain't Kuwait. Because that's where the Arabians went and pitched tent, right? Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, like ancient Babylon. Neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. Their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, right? Satyr, this is the only time the word satyr is ever in the Bible. And this a satyr is a demon. Right? It's a little goat demon. All right? And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Right? So all these wild beasts, all these hateful creatures, all these hateful spirits and birds and demons, like what it's talking about here, all that radiation is going to affect the animals here and turn them into these hateful creatures. All right? And all the spirits that's on people here, guess what? When the people die, then spirits are just going to be loosed over here. All right? Shout out to the brother Prince Malachi Ben Ezrael, because he said this all the time, that this is hell that we're living in here. It just ain't got the fire yet. But it will literally be hell then. What you think about is hell, it's going to be over here. All right? Let's just prove this in Revelation 18. Show that ain't talking about no ancient Babylon. It's talking about a future Babylon. It's talking about Babylon the Great. Revelation 18, starting with 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power. And the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils. Right? As it says, satyrs, those are devils. And the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Right? So them birds, like your vultures and your crows and whatnot, that radiation gonna do something to them and turn them into something, something hateful and unclean. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Right? Everybody does business with America, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. All right. I've talked about this many times. If you want to make any kind of money in trade, in global trade, you have to go to Wall Street, to the New York Stock Exchange. All right, you have to go to the Empire City. All right, that's the merchants of the earth, the businessmen. All right, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues." Right, so that's what we got to do. We got to come out of her, mentally and spiritually. If you want to leave physically, you can. Of course, they're making it harder to do that. But what's most important is to come out of her sins. Be not partakers of her sins. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double, according unto her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, I shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. We keep hearing about this day of the Lord, the day that burned like an oven. One day. It's all going to happen in one day. Death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, just like Sodom and Gomorrah was. All right, that's what we read in Isaiah 13. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her. Right? Like them Saudi princes, they're going to be mourning because their money going to run out. We ain't got nobody to sell our oil to. And lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment. Right? So with a country this size, all of it burning, that's going to be able to be viewed from all over the world because of how massive this country truly is. All of it's going to burn up. And that smoke's going, as it says, go up forever. Did it say forever right here? Or that was in Isaiah 34, I believe. Let's see. Well, it said they shall never be inhabited from generation to generation. That's in Isaiah 13. Isaiah 34, I think it says the smoke of her burning shall go up forever. Right? Let's see. Yeah. It shall not be, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch. This is Isaiah 34:9. And the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. Right? So it's all going to burn. Right? This land that Idumea is controlling, it's all going to burn. All right? It shall not be quenched day nor night, or night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. All right? And we see this associated with Babylon the Great. Right? Standing afar off for fear of her torment. Right? When they shall see the smoke of her burning. Saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Right? So that's that hour. That's that hour of temptation, as another scripture says. All right. So from there, let's go to 2 Peter 3, because Peter talked about the same thing. So we'll go there. 2 Peter 3. This will be the last scripture we hit before we close it out. Let's see. 2 Peter chapter 3. Remember that day that burns like an oven. That day is burning like an oven. All right. So let's see. Starting with verse 7. But the heavens and the earth which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. So all the prophets, all the apostles are talking about a specific day when it's going to burn, when everything's going to burn. All right? It's all for the perdition, meaning the destruction of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. You see that right there? So we think, oh, it's been 2,000 years since Jesus walked around. It ain't nothing going to happen. All right, we're past that. That was back then. To God, it's been 2 days. All right? It ain't even been 2 days yet, because we're not even 2,000 years removed from when Christ was walking around. So it ain't even been 2 days to him yet. All right? The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. You see that right there? So the reason why Christ has not come back yet is because he's waiting on us. He's waiting on us to get right. All right, I include myself in that. He's waiting on us to perfect holiness so that we can be delivered and be with him instead of being destroyed with everyone else. All right, when you read Revelation 7, specifically the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, the 144,000. All right, that's who he's waiting on. All right, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. Right, that great noise is when them bombs heads go boom. Right, and it's going to shatter your eardrums, all that kind of stuff. Right, as we read in Isaiah, it's going to shake the heavens and the earth. All right. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The elements, like that periodic table of elements, is going to be completely different because they're going to melt. All right. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up, the day that burn like an oven. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? So keep that in mind. With all these things, knowing all these things, what kind of people are we to be? Holy and godly is what Peter suggests. All right? So from there, I'm going to close it out with Matthew 26. Hope y'all learned something. But yeah, I had to give an update on Israel and Gaza. But yeah, what all that's building up to is, hey, those men being wicked, being evil, as Gad been bringing out over the past few weeks, the sons of perdition, right? So had to go into that destruction. I wasn't even necessarily planning on going into the day of the Lord like that, but that's just where the Spirit led me. So Matthew 26. Here we go. Talking about the Sister Mary who anointed the Lord. Now when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman have done, be told for a memorial of her. And I know that these classes get viewed by people all over the world. So we got to remember this memorial that Christ told us to do for our sister who did a wonderful thing for him. She did what she could. Right? That's what Mark 14 says. She did what she could. So with that, I'm going to give all praises to the Most High that we made it to his Sabbath so that we could rest. And I hope y'all learned something. I'm going to say shalom. Happy Sabbath, and let God be magnified.